a community manager agent that watches a few different channels and then drafts content, sends the content for review, which can then be tweaked, approved, scheduled, etc. And then the agent takes care of the rest. One of the examples was having a GitHub repo with a new release. So being able to pull that information from GitHub, obviously needing Slack if we're going to use that as an approval platform. We could talk to something like Metricool to schedule the social posts. Obviously they've got good connectors. There's other platforms as well. MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, MailerLite. There's a whole bunch of other mailing list management tools that we could leverage there too for actually sending out templated emails. We should build this agent in a way that's kind of flexible, so it can use the same agent but have different tooling that they're using. What I'm going to focus on is just getting the flow right. I just set up a GitHub repo for a fake project. It has a change log. It's going to detect that new change log entry in the project. It's going to draft the message and it's going to then send it to Slack for review and approval. And if it's approved, it'll actually send that to the social media platform. So I've connected to all these different platforms. So Google Workspace, GitHub, Notion, Slack, etc. There's a whole bunch of other platforms I could connect to here. Let's build an agent. Actually, I'm going to do it just for me. We're going to call this a community manager. Agent monitors GitHub when something has been detected. The agent should draft a social media post. Going to monitor the channels that are likely to produce newsworthy events. Good question. What is newsworthy? Ideally, agent should actually ask the person as a part of the onboarding what's newsworthy. We have our first draft to the agent. So it's decided that it needs to have 4 skills. So the first one is a skill to detect newsworthy events, a skill to draft social media posts, route for Slack approval, post-draft content. That's pretty good, to be honest. Pretty much what we've got here. So the connections, so your CRM, your GitHub repo, your Slack workspace, and social media accounts, pretty much spot on. It's decided to have reoccurring events. Now, all of this can be edited later. Agent name it's come up with is Signal. That's kind of cool. I like that. Response style, we want this to be, balance is pretty standard. There's no guardrails. This is not working in healthcare or anything fancy, so there's no protections really needed here. It's created a first conversation onboarding. So you can see here it said, hey, I need to understand what counts as newsworthy for your product. So that's great. What we were looking at before was just like drafting a high-level plan for the agent. Now it's actually going and building. There we go. Signal is ready. We can run a performance review. So what that means is that every week the agent will review its own skills and what it's been doing and suggest improvements. So what we have here is a studio for the agent. So on the left, there's all the different areas of this agent that I can customize. And on the right-hand side here, we've actually got a test chat conversation. This allows me to talk to the agent with those customizations instantly applied. And so you can see here, it's already picked up my GitHub and Slack accounts are already connected, which is great. It suggested, hey, do you have any of these? Sprout Social, Hootsuite, Metricool. Already asked me here, you can see it said, before I start monitoring, I need to know what counts as a story for your product. It's also said, for the record, I'll always send draft posts to your team Slack for approval. So it's got a clear guidance here that it needs explicit sign off before it sends things. I'm gonna change the handle. So this is the unique name for this agent. I'm going to make this agent use the highest reasoning possible. I'll tweak this a little bit. In particular, no social media posts should be made without explicit approval. So let's review the onboarding. So here we've got what to connect your CRM. Obviously I could be really specific and say HubSpot, but I want to make this a little bit more generic. So it's just going to be any CRM. Got it, Slack as our verification method. So I will set that required. I think for the purposes of how this agent's working, that's probably necessary. This is the first conversation. We're asking what is newsworthy, what tone should I use, anything to avoid. Don't think we need that as a prompt. I think I'll delete that one. It is possible to have workflows. We could actually have a workflow specifically checking a product release or draft a social post, and I just say what it is, and then it gets sent for approval. All right, let's review the skills. Be detecting newsworthy events. Now, your trigger is you want to compare the current GitHub change log. You're the detection layer for a product news scout. Your job is to compare the current GitHub change log and CRM data against the user's stored newsworthy criteria. It's decided to use its memory, so it's going to have a durable memory of criteria. I presume that when we do the onboarding process, it should save some of the answers into this sort of memory for the agent, and also where it should store memory in regards to what signals or what sources are being tracked. So obviously GitHub, the name of the CRM platform, and obviously you can expand on that. So maybe you've got multiple GitHub repos too. Fetch the latest data, classify the content. That looks pretty good to me. Drafting the content. Here we've got preferences again as specific memory that it's looking for, which is great. All right, route to Slack for approval. You're the Slack approval router for social posts. Look for any existing Slack destination record. So let's use Slack approval channel. It wants to create a user collection, so effectively a database tracking all of the Slack approval requests. Memory is basically like a markdown file. The agent can create as many of those. Going to use those for some of these things like social media tone and format and criteria for newsworthiness. A collection is effectively like a database, but the agent can create it and manage it itself. And then publish the approved content. I am going to go into the training mode here, change this so that when we post to social media, we actually post to Notion database. So it's actually suggesting editing rules, an agent, creating a tool, and editing a skill. So here it's suggested to use Notion. I'm going to just say accept. That's good. It's updating that approval to mention the Notion database. It's suggested to remove some of the other recommendations. So I'm going to reject that one. So it did schedule heartbeats. Every hour, publish approved content. And then every day, detect newsworthy events. Because I'm testing this, I'm just going to disable them for now. It might make sense to actually use a scheduled task so you can be really explicit on the date and time. And this is where the fun starts. HubSpot, GitHub, and Slack are already connected, which is great. New product releases, any spike in registrations from a given country, 100 plus per day. Oh yeah, it saved that to newsworthiness criteria. Perfect. This is for a gaming community. Make it fun, include memes and emojis. Last question, are there any topics, claims, competitors? So avoid any mention of Counter-Strike, our major competitor. Okay, so first let's do a test run here. So we've said this is the GitHub to monitor. It's going to store that repo and the advanced version and now have a look at GitHub. Awesome, it's detected version 2. So it's newer than your announced version 1.4.2, so it's a legit new release. Highlights from the change log, update the guidance to be don't mention other FPS games, but activities. Okay, it added to GitHub to the monitoring tag, that's cool. The release is stacked, land hard, good post leads with one hero message. Which of these should be the star of the post? You pick and initiate the full draft. Obviously, I'm kind of doing this manually, but this would obviously be automated through the heartbeat or scheduled task that I showed before. It found it automatically. That's pretty cool. Okay. And there it is. Remove mention of Xbox. Check the thread for next steps. I'll just do this manually. So it's picked up that reply. Here's the revised post. It removed Xbox, which is great. It's picked up that the approval was granted. Yes, write this to the test Notion database. It's checking the schema, which is great because I think that the skill schema was actually very different to what I actually have. Now writing that to Notion. Okay, so let's have a look in Notion. There it is, platform X. There is the update. There's no mention of the Xbox. We've got that process from beginning to end. The agent decided something happened. It drafted a social post, got Slack for approval. It published it to the appropriate channel. What was kind of interesting is the agent was able to kind of pick up the gaps. I didn't tell it which Notion database, but it searched and found it. I didn't tell it the Slack channel, but it found it. As a user, I could override that and I could explicitly say what Slack channel or what Notion database. Let's say that I wanted to use Metricool for posting to social media. You can see that there's like 43 different tools here. So you'd be able to use this to do all sorts of things, getting analytics data and using that for a trigger. It's really up to you to work out that piece. I'll publish this so anyone can actually use the agent, and I'll give it its own website. There is a publish button. I can click on this. Agent is versioned. It has different versions. So the first thing I need to do is actually publish version 1. This means that I can make changes to the agent and test them, release them to other users. It now has a website address. Whoever uses the agent will pay for that with their usage credits. If you want to try this agent, you'll get 100,000 credits, which is effectively like $10 worth of usage. So you'll be able to use this for free and have a play and have an experiment. There it is. This is Signal. If you go and use the agent, it's in your own style. It's in your own sandbox. So obviously you have to add your own connections. It's going to have clear memory that's different to the memory of what I've just created. So everything is going to be specific to your instance of that agent. It's all very isolated. So yeah, you'll be able to connect your own things and then customize as well. We have the BlueNexus marketplace. And so it actually could publish to the marketplace, and then you'll actually be able to copy the agent into your own account and then modify the agent just like I was modifying it here. So it's a copy of that, and then you can tweak it. Maybe you want to add some extra features to it and add some skills. You can customize it completely. So